Party people, it is Friday. This is episode 75. I don't think I realized that earlier in the week when I started the week off, but I started counting down because I knew 75 was coming soon. And I realized, wow, Friday is episode 75. What a way to end this week, keeping it classy, all about education. We started off the week on Monday with a retired principal and elementary school teacher. We've spoken with consultants in the middle part of the week, and we rounded out tonight with a principal who is still active in education. And we have our first gentleman of the week. I reached out to some gentlemen. Don't say like, oh, why she have all women? I actually reached out to some other gentlemen throughout the week, and this was the only one we could get confirmed in this time period. For everyone who will be catching this broadcast on the replay, thank you so much for hanging out with the Angela Ray Show, for sharing the broadcast, and for being a loyal supporter. I really appreciate it. I hope that you all are ready to enjoy and ask some questions. You know, most of you who are on, you're my regulars, you know to come on and be active and engaged. For those of you who will be catching this broadcast live, once you have a chance to get on the broadcast, go ahead and do me a favor. Slide into those comments and let me know, what was your favorite subject in school, whether that was high school or whether that was college? I would have to say for me, I think, I don't even know that I've been asked this question one other time earlier this week, and I don't even know if I've answered that. But when I really think about it, besides lunch, I think that my favorite subject was English. I do believe it was probably English, at least in high school. I did enjoy class. No wonder, I'm talking now for a living, but definitely English was an amazing subject. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you for being on. Oh, we have your frat brother on tonight. Hey, Josette, thank you so much for the well wishes. I appreciate it. Yes, this is going to be a great evening, great evening. So I want to go ahead and get the party started with our ray of motivation moment. And so for this ray of motivation moment, I have to give credit where credit is due. This is a quote that I heard from one of my good friends, Mr. Palmer Williams Jr., who is celebrating a birthday on today. I don't know where you are if you happen to be catching the broadcast on tonight, Palmer, but I hope that you have an opportunity to do something great to celebrate your birthday. Crimson and cream love to you. But for our ray of motivation moment on tonight, I heard Palmer say, a few weeks ago, actually, it's been a few months ago at this point. He said, I wouldn't want to bring in someone to do the foundation for my house who only knew how to lay sod. I wouldn't want to bring in someone to do the foundation for my house who only knew how to lay sod. You know, there are so many of us who have gifting in so many different areas. There are people who are gifted in hair and makeup. There are people who are gifted in putting clothes together. They can just throw together an outfit amazingly. There are some people who can have 5 basic ingredients in their kitchen, and all of a sudden you look and they have a gourmet meal made. There are people who are talented in education, in reaching young people and children, and even motivating adults to do what they need to do in education. But I think it's all too important that we must realize that we want to make sure that we're operating in our purpose in the right way and in our own gifting. It's not to say that we can't learn anything new. I mean, this week, this focus has been education. And of course, I know so many people who are taking this opportunity during the pandemic to go back to school to further their skills. But you want to make sure that whatever it is that you are gifted in, that you are operating in that way and that you bring the right people to your team. And that is tonight's ray of motivation moment for this Friday edition of the Angela Ray Show. See, how y'all gonna be eating without me, Edwin and LT? Hey Juliet, so good to see you on the broadcast. Hey Cuz, thank you so much for tuning in and for those well wishes. I definitely appreciate it. So I want to go ahead and introduce our guest for tonight. Dr. Quentin J. Lee has been employed with the Talladega County school system for the last 14 years. He's been a band director. He's been an assistant principal. He's been a principal, and he has worked tirelessly in the education system. He has a BS degree in instrumental music education from Alabama A&M. Since 2019, he's been providing professional educational consulting services to clients in Alabama and beyond. And, even though this week is over, a couple weeks ago, we did our Divine Nine series. He's also a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. So please help me welcome Dr. Quentin J. Lee. Dr. Quentin, thank you so much for being on the Angela Ray Show tonight.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm so excited about this opportunity. I'm going to take these glasses off so I don't have to keep seeing that ring light, but I'm so excited to be here tonight.
So you, not too long ago, earlier this month, went viral when you took an old school song, You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer. For those who might be a little bit too young, that you don't even know who MC Hammer is, go look that up. Google, YouTube is your friend on that one. And you made this video that really made it plain and clear what we all can do to stay safe in the school system and just when we're out and about when we need to. Where did you get the idea to do that?
Well, I've been in education for about 14 years, and I normally try to do a video, maybe 2 videos a year, just to help engage the students and getting excited about coming back to school and just to do something fun. So I was thinking, well, coming back to school, I need to do a video, but I also want to go ahead and let's get these rules that we have to do. Let's get it in the heads of our students before they come on campus. So I was going with some different ideas and talked to some of my friends, and I say, I'm thinking about doing You Can't Touch This and all the things they can't touch. And they just laughed and they said, yeah, you've got to do it. So I felt the pressure. I wrote the song on that Sunday evening. It took me about 35 minutes to write the rap. And I recorded it upstairs on my computer. And I called Jalen Mitchell of City Visuals Videography. He's the best videographer I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And I told him the vision. He busted out laughing. He's like, yeah, this is going to be good. Let's just get it working. So I called a teacher and three of my favorite students on campus. And they came up, and the rest is history. We had so much fun just recording and being in that moment that it was fun. I promise you, it was the most fun that we've had that week. Of course, there's been new fun that's come up now, but it was just extremely fun just to be able to make magic with them and to get the message across about the mask and everything we're doing on campus.
Now, since you are still a principal, you are so actively involved in education, did you have any downtime? There are many people who, took up so many things, interests and hobbies during the pandemic. Did you have downtime during the pandemic? And if so, what did you do besides make videos?
The crazy thing is that I came down with the flu 1 week before the pandemic hit. So I'm always go, and I never get sick. So I was out for a full week, and that is not me. So that really prompted me to go ahead and say, okay, I need to take a break back and let's just reconfigure some things. During that time, I really reconnected with my family, just loving on my 2 little ones, and my oldest daughter, she came home from school, and my wife. And I discovered that I really like bike riding. We bought some bikes. So we have now a family hobby. I actually have the full bike suit.
Uh-oh.
I have the full bike suit that I love riding a bike, and I started fishing. Growing up in a single parent home, I really didn't have a father figure to do a lot of those things. So my wife's dad has been amazing and very instrumental in bridging a lot of those gaps. So I picked up fishing. So every week I go fishing, or either I ride my bike for 10, 15, 20 miles and just really enjoy the moment. I think COVID-19 has taught us a lot about ourselves, that we're very creative human beings. But sometimes we just got to step back and take a moment just to embrace each other and just embrace the moment and love on those who are most important to us.
You just mentioned family. So you're an administrator and you're a parent.
Yes.
Getting back to being in school, how do you balance those two?
Well, it's easy to really get lost in your work, especially if you love what you do. But there's a fine balance, and you have to make sure that you're honoring that. I can't be at school pouring out 100% and then come home and not pour out to my own family. So that's one thing that I encourage people to do. If you're going to take care of other children, you got to make sure you take care of your own. So just really providing that time. When I come home, I'm full daddy mode. I don't like really doing a lot of work at home unless it just has to get done. And I don't mind. I've started working out more regularly. So I have to get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to work out, because I don't want to take away time from my children when I get home from work, and I don't want to take away from my work responsibility. So it's just really about finding that balance and reprioritizing everything that you have going on to meet the basic demands of your job affiliation as well as your family and being there in the moment.
Now, given that you work with high school students,
Mhm.
many of them are in the midst of preparing for the next step, especially
Mhm.
juniors and seniors are beginning to think about that. In
Yeah.
terms of preparation, what advice do you have for parents as well as students on preparing for that next step? How early should that begin?
It's kindergarten. You should start
The
really.
pressure is on.
You should start really thinking about what you want to do. Now, I'm not saying by your ninth grade year you have to know exactly your full 4-year plan on what you want to do, what you want to major in, where you want to live. I'm not saying you should do all that, but you should still be making strides toward accomplishing a goal. The biggest downfall, I think, is waiting until your senior year to start thinking about college, because that's where you're going to spend the next step. And maybe college is not for you. Maybe you need to go to a community college to pick up a trade. Maybe you want to go directly into the workforce. So just explore each and every option. I think one thing that in education we've done a disservice to kids by telling everyone that they have to go to college. That's not necessarily true. Success looks different for everyone, and some of our students are actually having to provide for their families now. So their best option is to graduate and go directly into the workforce so they can provide for their family. So it's about really being open and honest. I will encourage parents and students to talk. Talk, 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 talk. Don't leave anything to the imagination. Team up with your counselors at school. Look for any and every scholarship opportunity, because there's people out there that are willing to invest in your future and help give you money. But you've got to be prepared, and you've got to make sure that you're putting in the work. ACT is important. It's not just important your senior year. ACT is very important because that's one way that you can get some additional funding to help cover your school. But any college opportunity that you get to go visit, like a preview day, or if you get to go look at a program at a community college, or if you get to go to a job day, explore, 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 explore. Don't let life pass you by. And I hate seeing the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Like, take this time, invest in yourself, and see exactly what it is that you love and what you would like to do. And even for those of us who are not in high school age, those who are older, like, don't give up on your dreams. If you want to go back to school, do it. If you want to pick up a trade, do it. It's not too late to live the life of your dreams.
So you have a question from one of our supporters here at the Angela Ray Show.
Right. All right. So as a man of color working in education, what adversity have you experienced? A lot. Sometimes because of the color of my skin, people think that I'm not as knowledgeable. Because of my age, I don't have wisdom. Those are just minor things. However, I can't be focused on others' perception of me. I'm only responsible for how I treat others and how I carry myself. So I don't let that negatively affect me. It causes me to really sharpen my game plan. The school that I'm at now, I'm actually the first African-American principal, and I love the fact that we're able to bridge the gap and really connect with our community. In a short amount of time, we've really changed the culture of our campus, and we're really producing a lot of top-notch students that are going out making a difference in this world. And our kids love coming to school. Before the pandemic hit, we were averaging a 96% attendance rate for a high school. And that's pretty good for high school students, because, that's when they become really disengaged with school and don't want to show up. So I love education. Education saved my life. And being a young Black male with a doctoral degree has definitely been an experience. But it's an experience that I get to pass down to my son, who also wants to be in education, to let him know my experiences so that I can continue to hopefully pass down the Dr. Lee trait to my children.
So what would you attribute to your success and the success of, having such a great percentage of students attending school in high school?
This is going to sound crazy, but I had a horrible experience in junior high school. I felt as if the teachers really weren't connected to who I was as a person. I don't feel like I really had anyone in my corner except band. I was in band, and I was a good musician. And the band was always that saving grace for me. They rallied behind me. I mean, band was my life. So I just remember how I felt, and I don't want students to feel that way. So in my school, I make sure that every student's connected. We have a school-wide mentor program connected to our houses. And that's just basically a way we connect with all of our students are in one of the 4 houses to work on character education. We're really big on the social emotional learning and really big on building positive student relationships with each and every student on our campus. One thing that we pride ourselves on is that we know every kid in our school by name. Now, granted, it's only about 400 students in the entire school, but every student deserves to be a name and not a student number. So we really work hard on establishing those relationships. I've got some really cool things built in on campus, such as lounge areas. And I actually created, with the help of our community, a student lounge where we have a pool table, air hockey table, ping pong, foosball, it's Xbox in there, a lot of board games, and 3 arcade games, and 2 basketball goals. And this is just for the kids to enjoy a safe space to talk, have great fun. Many of our students play pool for the first time at school, just to build that community and to have a fun place on campus for the kids to enjoy. So I think that my experience really caused me to do this. And then I had a mentor by the name of George Cobb, which is still one of my great friends to this day. He poured so much into me and made me to the person I am today that I wanted to be just like him. And he was an educator. So the power of relationships is huge. And I'm just praying that many of the those that are listening into this call, go out and find someone that you can mentor, someone you can share your experiences with to help improve their quality of life.
Now, how does the student lounge work? Because, as soon as you said that, I was like, now, we didn't have anything like that when I was in high school. I remember there used to be a student patio, but you could only go between, like literally, you could walk through it between classes or before the school day began. When it was, warm enough, we would congregate out there and maybe a little bit after school. So how does the student lounge work?
All right, so the student lounge, we award students when they receive a positive office referral. A lot of times office referrals have a negative connotation, but sometimes we reward our students for getting caught doing something above and beyond. Now, if it's just a normal expectation, that's what your requirements are. But if you're going that next step above and beyond, you can receive a positive office referral. You'll get some time in the game room. The students that have perfect attendance get time in the game room. Honor roll students get time in the game room. The student leadership team meets and they provide tutoring services in the game room. We actually have some sessions with teachers with professional development in the game room. I learned this when I was at Google 2 summers ago, and they have game rooms all over the campus of Google just to kind of get a brain break and to increase your creativity, just to release. So we put it on campus and we've seen positive results. And everything in the room, with the exception of maybe 4 or 5 items, was donated from the community. So just really grateful for the partnership and just the space to, oh, and I forgot there's a putt golf thing in there. There's actually a putting thing.
Wow.
So we wanted to try to appeal to every type student that we have on campus. And we were looking even with board games. We're like, how are we going to get the board games? And we were trying to see where we could find funds. And out of the blue, this lady came up with 3 garbage bags full of board games, about 55 games. So
wow.
Everything really came together to work. And we knew that what we're doing is what we're supposed to do because it's been fulfilled.
Amazing. All right. You have another question from one of our viewers.
All right. So helping Black males during these troubling times, like mentoring to do better, like having conversations, that's the number one thing I think that has not happened in this country. We assume versus having those conversations. We talk to our kids one-on-one. My job is not to tell kids what to think. My job is to help teach them to think. They're going to form those opinions on their own. And I don't want it to be because of Dr. Lee said. It needs to be because this is what I believe. And this is why I'm believing this, because I have supporting evidence to do so. We are training our young men at our school to be husbands and fathers and to be leaders in our community. So we have those conversations, not just with my Black young men, with all of my kids. On our campus, you hear the people that say, I don't see color. No, we see color. We see the differences, and we see that what makes us individuals. But our job is to educate all of our students. A perfect example is this past spring, our basketball team went down to Montgomery, and we took 2 busloads of kids, about 90-something kids altogether, to the Equal Justice Initiative Museum, which is also known as the Lynching Museum. That was Black kids, that was white kids. We walked in those museums hand in hand and learned about history together. So when you have those uncomfortable conversations, it helps produce young people who are ready to go out and be advocates for what's right in this world. So definitely having those conversations. It's not about bashing kids when they're wrong. That's what the media will do. There'll be enough negativity out there, but building them up to become better adults, become better people, and just to become better thinkers.
And looks like you got a praise of support here from
Yeah, Childersburg High, I mean, we've done some amazing things, and I can't, it's just not a one-man show. I have a great team of teachers. I have a great support with the community. Literally, if I put it out there with that same basketball team, we put it out that we wanted to allow the students to go and not have to worry about transportation. And within about 3 or 4 hours, $2,500 came to the school to help with transportation. And we were able to take, I think, 6 buses altogether of students to go to a basketball game. So our community is very supportive, and the parents are excited about the product, and the kids love it. The kids love just being a part of Childersburg. We call ourselves being #committed. And that's committed to what we're doing, committed to each other, committed to our community, committed to students, and committed to growth.
Now, I mentioned this in your introduction. You're a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. How has being a member of a fraternity impacted your life and your career?
I was on the spring 2003 line, the greatest hits of a Phi Beta Sigma Gamma Epsilon chapter at Alabama A&M University. And I just
Oh,
think
you sounded like you was at the probate for a minute. You just spit that out like, oh, no, we ain't at the probate no more, principal.
but just the connections with my line brothers, and we still talk. And one of my line brothers is right now on a reality TV show, Lost Resort, with TBS. So just being able to see and connect, and it taught me also that I was in the marching maroon and white band at Alabama A&M. So just the brotherhood and the organization skills of not seeing people as having a weakness, but seeing something that you can help them improve on, and they can help you improve, and relying on the strengths of others. It's just been, I think it's helped me really to vamp my thinking to not leave anyone behind. And I think that the organization in itself teaching me that, about service has definitely helped shape some of my character into providing service for my students.
All right. You have another supporter here.
Hey,
Michelle. You know Michelle?
I do. She's my big sister. We marched together at Alabama A&M University.
Awesome. That's my chapter soror too. Small world.
So thank you. The clones. My goal, just being completely honest, I do this thing, the Kicking It with Dr. Lee, is to help empower educators to have a heart for kids. As long as you're doing whatever it takes to be right by a kid, you're going to always be in a positive light, and you're going to make those connections. So I don't want people to be like me. I want people to define these relationships and be whatever the kids need that are inside of your classrooms. The best way to put it is be who you needed growing up. And that's what I try to do every day, not just for my students. I try to do that for my teachers, because I remember being a teacher and thinking, well, my principal doesn't, I want to, bridge the gap, and we all have high expectations, but it's just about those experiences and really going forward and being what these kids need. Even the kids that get on your nerves, those are the ones that need you the most.
So what do you think is the biggest challenge facing students and parents right now, given that we are in the midst of a pandemic?
Communication. It all boils down to communication. Number one, we're not going to be back to any kind of sense of normalcy because of COVID-19 and everything else that's going on in the world. But we've got to communicate how we're feeling and being honest about those feelings. You can be apprehensive and you can have feelings of worry, like all those things are okay, but it's how you process it. And sometimes we just hide those things, and then our heart becomes hard, and then we're acting weird and don't know exactly why, but we've taken offense to certain things because we weren't honest and we didn't process it the correct way. So just really opening up and the communication. And I've had a 19-year-old daughter, and I mean, I'm a parent. We haven't gotten it necessarily right on all the things. So just being able to talk and accept each other's flaws and give grace. Our nation was built on grace. However, we don't like to give grace. So give grace to others and just being honest. I think that's really going to help us in this time. But parents, talk to your kids, because if you don't talk to them, someone else will. Talk to your kids and just really build up that relationship so that they will feel comfortable telling you not only the good stuff, but the stuff that they really need your help on.
And what advice would you offer to start those conversations? Because, unfortunately, when that level of trust has not been built, and, you have a student who's now in high school, 9th, 10th grade, and they're not used to talking to parents about the important stuff, about the sensitive stuff. How do parents then start to bridge that gap so that their kids are vulnerable?
Well, I would suggest, number one, the parent has got to definitely check their heart. And if you're going to talk, you may not like what you hear. Don't jump on them, because that's going to close it off again. Simply listen. A lot of times our kids are just in dire need of just talking to someone just to listen. So we don't always have to give advice. We can just simply listen and be there. I can remember times when I call my friends and I just want to vent. I'm just going to vent. And they just listen. Listen to what's going on and take heed. It could be you think that your kid is being overly emotional, but you don't understand that what they're dealing with at school, with the different stressors that they may be facing. Or for me, I remember being in school, I would be upset sometimes because I didn't have money to get some of the nice things, like with the nice shoes and those things. We just didn't have an excess of money. So it wasn't that I had an attitude problem. I was just embarrassed and didn't know how to process it. So just parents, like, talk to your kids and just let them know that whatever it is, I love you. We may not agree, but I love you. You're my child. I want what's absolutely best for you. I want you to learn these lessons. I'm here if you need me. I'm not going to press myself on you. But I think that can really help start the conversation and help bring forth healing. And the kids will appreciate it, because our kids are not going to always be our kids. Of course, they're going to be naturally our kids, but they're going to be parents one day. And they're going to have their own set of kids, and they're going to look back to the raising that they received. So we want to make sure that we're planting seeds that are positive.
Talk a little bit about what you do as a consultant and how might somebody, I believe Jennifer was like, "Oh, I would love to clone you," but perhaps, maybe not cloning, but maybe getting some help. So talk about what you do as a consultant.
Well, consulting, and it's been crazy. It's been different for every different person I've talked to. I say educational consulting, but really I've been pushing people to really get out of their shell and go to the next level. Just having conversations. I have a gifting from God to just really see things and to see vision and to see purpose and help people reach those things. And it's just been a blessing. So the consulting work has literally, one of the ladies that I consulted has started her own LLC and is doing amazing work. And we had an idea with some books, and she called me, was like, "It worked." And I was like, "I saw it. I told you what I saw, and that's what happened." So right now the consultant is just basically to work on building positive student relationships on campus and to try to help change the culture and being a change agent for the integration of character education on campuses. Also offer a planning session if you have a high school senior that needs help with college application, things of that nature. I can do that for a small fee. I don't charge my students that are in my school because that's what I'm there designed to do. I always take time with them, but for others, there's a small fee if you want to set up a session and we can work on things to try to get them in school. And then I'm doing some public speaking coaching. So if you have an opportunity that's coming up and you have to speak, you can get with me. We can kind of work on your speaking skills, your points, and to put it into a nice package with your stage presence and things of that nature. But I just want to be available to help people. And even with the fame that people like to say that's going on with this video, I don't consider it fame. I'm not doing anything different. This is what I've normally always done. I've talked to so many people and just offered love and just had that conversation and offer suggestions. So I'm still the same person, even though I've been on 2 Australian networks and I did Berlin earlier today. I'm still the same Quentin Jerome Kaz Lee. I love my family. I love my kids. I'm silly. I love marching bands. Fame is not, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to see if I can inspire other people in education to love kids the way I love kids.
So, when you said your middle name, you know what I thought. I'm not going to say it.
Jerome,
you already, man, it was just like I heard it as soon as you said it. All right. So what do you think is going to be the long-term legacy of this period, this pandemic where, students are learning virtually and parents are helping to educate in a way that they never have before? What do you think the legacy of this period will be for our students as well as our teachers?
I think the legacy is going to be perseverance, because this is definitely unprecedented times on both fronts, for teachers, for students, and the parents. I'm hoping that parents have an appreciation for teachers because we've been working extremely hard. Everyone thought during COVID-19 that the teachers were just at home with their feet up chilling. No, we were on the grind. One day I called over 70 something parents myself on a Saturday because I couldn't reach them during the week. The teachers were providing those lessons, and on the Zoom calls, they were emailing. They were working actually a little bit harder than they would have in the classroom because making sure that they were connecting with each and every student that they were providing services for. It is definitely a time that I think teachers are going to sharpen each and every skill that they have in their toolbox, because we've got to try things differently than we've done before. I've told my faculty and staff just this week, this is new for everyone. So if you're a first year teacher, you've been teaching for 20 years, when we start back school with students, everybody's on the same page because we've not done this before. I'm hoping that what we get out of this is a sense of renewed purpose. We're not relying on our friends that we've always been in contact with or our status to hold us accountable for who we are. It's based upon what we're producing. So I challenge my students to be creative. And that was part of the video. I can't challenge my kids to be creative if I'm not going to be creative as well. So I'm really hoping that we see a bunch of entrepreneurs out of this time. If you can do hair, open you a little shop, do you some hair. Of course, go get your license. Don't take your edges off or whatever.
Please don't snatch the edges.
Don't snatch the edges, but be productive during this time. I love logging on to Facebook and seeing people opening new businesses, providing new services. Like, that's what this time is about. And you will get followers because people buy into vision. People buy into vision. I'm going to tweet that myself, but they really do. They buy into vision. If they can see where you're going and they see the purpose behind it, they will get behind you and support you. So start that business, sis. Go ahead and start that business right. Do it because it's needed and you're the person supposed to deliver it to this world.
Well, wow. Dr. Lee, I didn't know you were on with someone, halfway across the world today. I'm just so honored you could find time to come hang out with the Angela Ray Show on this evening.
Well, I was telling my wife, even when COVID opened, when we get released from COVID and can go back full throttle opening up, there's this church from my hometown and it's in Hollywood, Alabama. And I used to go and do the youth Sunday speaking. I did it like 2 or 3 years in a row. That is the first place I want to go when we open back up, because that place gave me a start to be able to use a platform to speak and help encourage others. So I'm going to continue to do the same things that I've always done, because when we were even reshaping our vision and mission statements for the school, it came out and it hit me like a ray. You can't be national if you're not local. And I think that a lot of times people try to skip the local part and they just want to be nationally known. And it's not about being known, but you need to be providing a service locally to those that are around you in your same circle before you try to make an influence on those others. I'm going to tweet that too.
Who knows? One of these might end up being a rare motivation moment next week as well. You never know. You never know. Well, Dr. Lee, again, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with us, to share your gifts with my audience on tonight. If you all are watching, you can see his Instagram, his Facebook, and his Twitter at the bottom of the screen. He mentioned that he is doing so many different types of consultations, everything from, speech to also just helping people figure out what it is that they're good at and pushing them towards reaching those dreams. So enjoy the rest of your evening. And I look forward to connecting with you. It looks like we both got our start speaking at church. That was the first place that I spoke was at church. And church people, most small churches, they're so gracious. Even if you're not good, that encouragement will help you to get better.
Let me tell you what I miss. I miss those church plates. You hear me? Those styrofoam church plates with the chicken,
fried
and
chicken,
the beans, and the corn,
potato salad.
And
you got to make sure the right person made a potato salad. You can't eat everybody's potato salad. You know that, right?
And it depends on who was cutting that cake, if you saw through it or not, because you put that little sliver cake on the napkin on top. Yeah. I mean, that's how I was brought up. And I'm really thankful for my grandmother, my mom, and my aunt on really just instilling those basic principles of without God, you're nothing. And that is definitely something that I live by.
Awesome. Well said. I don't need to add anything else. Dr. Lee, enjoy the rest of your evening. And thank you again for hanging out tonight.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it so much.
Thank you. Well, that is it for this Friday edition of the Angela Ray Show. As always, I would like to remind you of Ray of Motivation number 54. Cleaning a mirror does not change the person who is reflected in it. Until next time, I encourage you all to go out and be the change. Have a great evening. We start a new series next week. You got to wait till Monday to find out. Good night, everybody.